What a silly series. Just lots of fun and happiness. It got silly characters like Rumia who... it has characters like Reimu who... Okay, this is starting to get weird. It has... Hello everybody, and welcome to my 1K special. I won't lie, writing this will be difficult. I'm not that great at showing how I feel, and I usually hide it behind my sarcastic nature. But if there's one series that I can talk about without any irony or sarcasm, it is Osana Reimu. Like, come on, I'm pretty sure it's obvious by now. I fucking love this doujin. I don't know how its creator Joyfull came up with a concept of making a prequel to ESD and PC98 series starring probably the least revisited character, Rumia, Reimu as a child and her mother, and make it work so perfectly, but it all just works. My god, it works so well. I wanted to revisit this universe again, and while my old video is still watchable, it has shown its age, like with the mic quality, still images of source filmmaker and the script not being so sure itself. I was at the time so worried about people reacting negatively to a video that was nearly half a year in the making, which took a heavy toll on my mental health. But here, I will go forward without worrying about that. I've also accepted that while this video might not do well with my current viewer base, I at least will return back to the point in my channel's history which changed everything. So, shall we start then? Osana Reimu, translated as Little Reimu, is created by doujin artist named Joyfull, who released the doujin to Nico Nico video back in 2011. The first episode was posted 25th of May and ended in 24th of February of 2012. So basically like a week after my 10th birthday. It received a lot of attention and quickly became one of the most popular Touhou fan stories out there. It's also very faithful to the canon, only having few blatant fanon elements like Rumia being a great yokai whose powers got sealed away. As with all of my Osana videos, I will be using the dubbed version because I like the acting in it and I think the voice acting brings out more emotion. And so we start with episode 1. First episode starts off with Rumia walking to the shrine, and still, I just love this beginning. It's just very simple and tells a lot about main characters. Like, what's this? Hakurei Miko has to go after a yokai in the human village, so she puts Rumia to go bug catching with Little Reimu. Before we continue with the story, I want to focus a little bit on the characters. Rumia is an adult in this story. She's a fully grown darkness yokai who has some tsundere elements where she acts pretty rude to hide her own feelings. She also got some large... bow tie. Reimu, who is a child here, is just an absolute ball of energy. In mainline games she's pretty distant, joyful and sometimes pretty arrogant who likes when things are peaceful and quiet. But here she's very curious about new stuff, she doesn't try to sugarcoat what she has to say and is absolutely adorable. You call this cute? Well fuck you, she's the cutest. And then we have her mother, whose name is unknown and is just simply called Miko. She seems to be very much like Reimu in the official literature and games. She also hides her face behind a mask and she's shrouded in mystery. We will learn more about her as we go on. Coming back to the episode, it's pretty weird to put a yokai to look after your child. It's almost the same as putting a pitbull near your child. So, Reimu and Rumia go bug hunting and Reimu can't contain her excitement as she hears they will go catch rhino beetles. And then she gets cow eating sap like a little gremlin. I just love her so much. They then mess around a bit, Rumia being an asshole, and Reimu manages to catch 2 horned beetle. She then finds a rhino beetle and isn't as impressed by it because it only has 1 horn. She's a special ed child, everybody, don't be too harsh on her. Rumia then collapses and asks why they even came here, until getting slammed by Reimu who says it's fun. Hakurai Miko then returns to the shrine to find them playing as different beetles, and when asked which one is better, she has this to say. She's quite a woman, I tell you. This episode was really adorable and it was a really good introduction to Reimu and Rumia and I hope their friendship will develop. I really like the many faces of Reimu and I have to thank Joyfull for putting his time to draw her with the most derpiest faces out there. There isn't much to say other than the episode was very cute. Let's move on to the second one. We get introduced to Rinosuke, the only male in Genso. He's been stalked by the most dangerous predator out there, money-hungry Miko. It looks like he's about to become her prey before dropping a donation and that makes her happy. Rinosuke came to introduce a kid but she ran away from him. We then cut to Reimu and Rumia hanging out together, and Rumia being extremely confused on why she's having so much fun with the cardboard box and asks if she's bored yet while Reimu's claiming it's fun. She then wants Rumia to try it out and it's extremely cute how she first tries to decline, but because Reimu is a child she's close to crying and because of it she's forced to try it and it's all just so funny. But like a typical kid, she gets distracted and runs off to chase a butterfly, hurting Rumia's pride. After thinking about her life choices leading up to this moment, Reimu's pointing at a big hat in the bush, which looks awfully familiar. That's right, it's motherfucking wizard hat from RuneScape, baby! Let's go slay some goblins and buy GFs. I'm just kidding, but they are curious about its origins and then it moved, leading up to this iconic scene. Then the hat runs off. Reimu says he's hit for a biff before it crashes into a tree, and when Rumia picks up the hat it reveals a very familiar looking face. It's Marisa Kirisame. We get to meet our favorite hoarder witch. Now, originally Reimu and Marisa met in the second Touhou game and it looked like this. But what I really like about this story is that it gives a rather more believable and wholesome origins on how they met. I really like how Marisa is portrayed here. In mainline games she's outgoing, social and kind of an asshole. But here she's extremely shy, to the point that meeting other people makes her burst into tears and run away. I relate to her because when I was around her age I used to be really shy and cried very easily. But now I'm extremely jaded adult who only feels something when he gets his 4th cup of coffee. Just like Reimu. Maybe that explains why she's my favorite. He explains why he came to the shrine while Reimu is traumatizing Marisa with her big ass smile. He explains that because he's extremely shy, Marisa has no friends back in the village and hoped that she could make some here. And Miko, being easily one of my favorite characters here, just tells him to leave her alone and proceeds to destroy his joints. She tells him that people don't make but become friends. Man, it's so awesome to have friends, right fella? Oh, I forgot. I don't have any. Later that day, Marisa is crying beside a tree when Rumia finds her, figures out that she wanted to play with Reimu earlier that day, and encourages her to ask if she can join. I really like this episode and how it gave origins for Reimu's and Marisa's unbreakable friendship. It was really funny and cute, especially when Rumia had to join Reimu's game and when Marisa turned red when she had the chorus ask Reimu. In my original video I never broke up the ending credits, but they are still one of my favorites in the series. It's really nice to see more of Joyfull's art, some fan art of the series, and how it sometimes has post-credits scene. In this episode showing Reimu and Marisa sliding away from Miko. We also get to listen to really good music. Speaking of music, before we continue, I just want to share my love towards these tones in the soundtrack. It's mostly remixes from the games, but how they have been created are really unique. Like the main theme, Arigatou, which I still consider one of the most beautiful tracks I've ever heard. It's an arrangement from Reimu's or Rumia's theme and it really fits. While we transition to the next episode, I want to play the main theme and a few other tracks that shall give you an idea on why this OST is one of my favorites. Episode 3 starts off with Yukari coming to the shrine and being greeted by Reimu and Marisa. And I think at this point I'll develop diabetes from the cuteness and I will probably die in the next 2 minutes. Yukari asks what they're doing and then gets absolutely demolished by Reimu and proceeds to haul up in a fetal position to cry.
あら、これは久しぶりね。人食い妖怪さん。
Yukari came to pay for Miko's work and they're having a big party, and I honestly love this scene. Rumia is pushing Miko away because she's trying to offer her own child beer while the kids are enjoying some good ass food. It's incredibly cute. Meanwhile, Rumia falls to her talks and we get a flashback to before Rumia came to the shrine. In the forest, Yukari wants Rumia to stop eating humans because the amount of skulls around her is a telling sign that she eats too much, to the point that Yukari has to ask if she has gone too far with the human eating. Because of her little buffet, the villagers are all terrified of her. It's explained that Rumia has a hunger that can't be satisfied, and she asks that if Yukari are all hated by humans, why are they even here? Yukari says that the person coming next is able to answer her question, and it's revealed to be Hakurei Miko.
あなたがゆかりが言ってた人かしら。美味しそうね。食べていい？どうしたの？止めを刺さないの？言っとくけど、負けたからって私は絶対に人食うの控える気はないわよ。
While she tells her to finish her because even defeated she won't stop eating humans, she is then taken to the shrine and is tied up to the tree which seals place around and in her, making it impossible to get free from the ropes. Miko then proceeds to leave while saying Rumia will stay there until she changes her mind. She is then being watched by little Reimu, again with a big ass smile. This creeps Rumia out and she just stands there, blowing her pipe. Then Miko comes to pick her up and she just waves. This clearly doesn't impress her. The next day Reimu is again standing next to Rumia and she demands to know what she wants from her, and Reimu asks who is she, and when Rumia tries to answer, she has this to say. She's a little shit whose head is extremely palatable, I tell you. Rumia is still not impressed by her, and then Miko comes to pick her up and tells this yokai is enforced feeding, and Reimu secretly leaves the food. The only problem is that she didn't put it close enough. Days pass and we get this cute compilation of Reimu coming to leave food for her, and it's honestly one of my favorite parts of this episode. Just Reimu trying to bond with Rumia and her slowly but steadily warming up towards her. We get scenes like Reimu tripping and the rice being all over Rumia, and during one rainy day both of the Hakureis come to give her an umbrella. And here we start seeing Rumia starting to change her attitude towards Reimu. And one day she's completely neutral towards her, and when Reimu gets hungry, she splits the rice ball and something changes in Rumia. And we see Miko hiding behind a tree, indicating that she planned to make her stop eating humans with the help of her child. And it seems like it worked, because after the end credits, Yukari wakes the sleepy yokai up and points out that Rumia hasn't eaten any humans lately. She also mentioned that happiness will not stay forever, so she should have a good taste of it when she still has it.
Rumia! Rumia! Huh? ずっと探していた。どうだ？うまいか？やっと見つけた。私が食べたかったもの。おいしい。
Easily one of my favorite episodes. I loved how Joyfull gave a very organic origins of why Rumia came to the shrine and how she hasn't even talked about eating Reimu. I also really love how spending time with the Hakurei family has made her a happier person. You can see it quite clearly. Rumia was not really satisfied with her life. She just could not get rid of her never-ending hunger, no matter how much she ate. And with the help of Reimu and Miko, she finally discovered what she wanted to eat. And the track, Your Dream, has become one of my favorite songs of all time. It honestly brings out the emotion in the ending. So let's not waste time and let's get to the 4th episode. We start off at Hakurei's shrine during the night. We see Reimu and Rumia looking at flower picture book and Reimu looks at them with a drooling face. Guess Miko never told her that flowers aren't exactly food when you aren't a tortoise. Rumia gets pissed at her and asks if anything else comes to mind when looking at flowers, and the answer is hilarious. The next morning they all go hiking at the flower garden, and when Miko asks why she had to join them, Rumia gets angry at her for failing to raise Reimu and fears that she will become greedy like her mother. You know, Rumia's fears aren't exactly wrong though, as we can see what happens in ReiReimu. While they're arguing, Reimu wanders off again. She ends up at an open flower field and gets excited, unknown to her that a scary yokai named Yuka Kasami owns the garden, who just happens to be behind her. While they try to find her, they hear her scream and Rumia sprints immediately to the source, terrified as all hell that she might be in danger. But turns out Yuka is just tickling Reimu and Rumia just made an embarrassing entrance. Yuka asked what made lonely yokai like Rumia to come hiking with humans, and she gave a very convincing argument, to the point that Yuka felt like becoming a reaction face. Rumia questions if is it okay for Reimu to ruin her garden, and she casually asks why she needs to be mad, and Rumia falls into despair, realizing she must look like an idiot. And then Yuka gives her reasoning.
いいのよ、あれで。生きてるものは誰だって生きてる意味を求めてるものなのよ。それがたとえ大なり小なりでもね。そしてあれがあの子たちが望んでいる生き方よ。でもってあの子たちの生き方を尊重するのが私の生き方よ。じゃあ私はお邪魔みたいだし帰るわね。あなたも見つかるといいわね。あなたの生き方。
Rumia is confused on why she left after such a speech and just sighs that all other yokais make some odd references, but her talk is interrupted by Reimu, who wants her to close her eyes.
まだ
だよ。もういいよ。
え？なんだよ、別に何も。頭？
Oh man, this is so sweet! I just love how adorable this scene is. From Reimu's fight smile to Rumia's soft expression, even Yuka, who was nearby, was happy about it. It just goes to show how much Reimu loves Rumia, even though she can be hard at times. They then are walking back to home and Rumia thinks about what she was told, before her stomach interrupts her talks. She then comes to the conclusion that this is her way of living.
ああ、お腹すいた。なのか。
Episode 4 was great. From the comedic to heartfelt moments, everything about this episode was perfect. Just really like how Rumia found what she was looking for. And that is to spend her days with the Hakurei family. I like how we got to meet Yuka as well with her PC-98 hairstyle. We are only 4 episodes in and I'm already invested in Rumia's and Hakurei's dynamic. It's really cute and it just makes me feel warm inside. We have reached halfway point to the series and things are going to get interesting as we keep progressing further. So let's continue to episode 5. We start off at a festival where Reimu dives to a fish pool and she's extremely... Oh my god, there are children around, you fucking pervert! She's having a great time, but her mother is seeing some weird looks from the other people and she decides it's time to return home. Reimu gets upset that they have to leave early, but she says Rumia is waiting, so she happily goes back.
腹減ったな。
They're enjoying some food while Rumia is asking if it's alright for them to leave from the human festival so soon. Miko shrugs her off, saying they have a better view of the fireworks here. They then notice that Reimu's ribbon is gone and she starts crying over it. Miko says she will buy her a new one, but she wants her old one back, and Rumia gives her own ribbon to Reimu and she hugs her. You can't lie to me that these two are the cutest things together. Rumia wonders how she can fall asleep so quickly after causing so much trouble, and Miko starts giggling that her face looks so much better now, because she used to look scary and stubborn and that causes Rumia to blush. She then asks why she hides behind the mask and doesn't Reimu want to see her face as well. She answers by saying she will be fine just like this while gripping her hands together. She clearly has some demons she fights with, but is hesitant to talk about it until she asks Rumia if she understands what the other humans think of her.
白麗の巫女はね、代々異変解決をなりわいとしているからね。いやでも妖怪には恨まれて、挙句の果てには同じ人間にさえ恐れられる始末さ。私はそんな周りの姿勢に耐えられなくて、仮面をかぶることでしか逃げれなかったのさ。レイムは今そんな周りの姿勢に気づいてないけど、そのうち大きくなったら嫌でも気づいて苦しむ時がきっと来るわ。そうしたらきっとレイムは私のこと。
And this is why the world of Genso is a cruel place. Not only are there yokais that have taste for humans, eventually the ones who protect them from the beasts will be hated as well. Miko was required to do her job as a Hakurei, but it led to her being discriminated against in the human village. She then only saw hiding behind the mask her only way to hide from the hate. You can't help but feel sorrow towards her, because she doesn't deserve the hate. She only did what was needed to keep Gensoki's balance. After such a depressing conversation, Miko tries to play it off and wants her to forget what she said. Rumia whispers something to herself while Miko wakes Reimu up to watch the fireworks and she wants to play with rockets too. Rumia then shouts at her to tell how she feels about what she was told.
何よ、いきなり大声なんか出して。
レムはあんたのこと恨んだりしない。レムはそんな子じゃない。根拠なんてないけど私にはわかる。それに他の奴らがあんたのことをどう思ってるか私にはわからないけど少なくとも私は感謝してるから。だからそんな悲しいこと言うなよ。言いたいことはそれだけ。
Reimu then pouts at her for being slow and Miko ponders a bit before shouting at Rumia and throws the mask at her.
何するのよこら。
お世界妖怪が言ってくれるじゃないの。
Both of them are speechless to see her true face for the first time, and Reimu's very excited to see her without any mask, and you can't help but feel happy about this. I feel happy about this. This is such a powerful moment. Up to this point, we never really knew what Miko looked like. She always hid behind the mask, and now it's off. She is probably the most beautiful Touhou character we've seen. And you can't help but feel happiness towards all of them, because without Rumia's words, she will probably have continued hiding. And after such a depressing episode, we have a very bright ending, of Rumia probably discovering she's totally into woman and both of them are looking at her. After the end credits, Reimu's playing while Rumia and Miko are sitting at the porch while discussing about happiness. Then Reimu falls, and when Rumia goes to take a look, something happens.
ぐらいだったら大丈夫。ごめん、私用事思い出しちゃった。帰るわね。
ちょっと、ルミア。
かかってんだよ私。
言ったでしょ。 幸せなんてあっという間だって。
ゆかり。
あなた、もうあの二人には会わない方がいいわ。
Oh god, it hurts, it hurts. I do so bad with the depressing stuff, man, especially when it's about Touhou. First we got baited into thinking this is a happy episode with some dark undertones, but then it went all mask off with Miko's dark past and Rise's vice versa mask. Then when you think things will go better when she revealed her face, something sinister went off in Rumia's head, forcing her to run away from the shrine. My favorite aspect of this episode was with Rumia's words. Miko could finally see that while the world is a cruel place, it doesn't matter when you got loved ones wanting to see her be happy. Doesn't matter the bunch of ungrateful villagers being scared of her or yokas despising her existence. As long as you have those close to you smiling for you, there's no need to hide. And when she stopped hiding, you can't help but feel pure happiness, and how the others react to it was genuinely so heartwarming. But now, because something is wrong with Rumia, you know there's really no going back. And here comes the breaking point. Turns out that despite Rumia eating other food, she can't sustain herself, and what she needs to survive is humans. It doesn't help when Yukari is being a creepy bitch who reminds her with just coldness that it feels like she knew for a while that it's impossible for her to sustain with any other food source. And then we see Rumia frying fish while thinking about what she was told.
禁断症状ね。
症状。
そうよ。あなたの体が人間を欲しているのよ。いくら他のものを食べたって。それはあなたの生きる糧にはならないわ。
For any other yokai, this isn't a problem, but she's a flesh-eating one, and if she chooses not to eat any people, she will die. Yukari offers to prepare some humans for Rumia to eat, and she's at her limit which if crossed will end up her eating every single human she encounters. Yukari then gives her 1 week to think about her answer and says if she ever wants to see the two of them again, then the answer is obvious. Before we continue, I feel like it's good to point out how fucking great this series is with foreshadowing. Ever since episode 3 we have known about Rumia's hunger, and no matter how much she ate, she never really got satisfied. But since coming to the shrine we thought it was cured, but how wrong we were. We have seen her stomach rumble a few times, and I thought it was just a cute addition to her because in fandom she's seen to really like food. But no, it was her body just telling that the food she's currently eating isn't working. And it led to a point that even a sight of human blood make her body react violently. And now, Rumia's at a point where she needs to decide to eat humans or suffer. But for Rumia, this is a difficult choice. She wants to see them again, but turning back to what she was meant they can smile or walk together again. And so begins her slow and painful starvation. As she is starving, Yukari and her Shikigami, Ran, are watching. She asks if it's okay to leave her like this and points out that she's too dangerous to just leave out there. And apparently she has gone on a hunger rampage before, killing so many people. Yukari then explains that she isn't really a flesh-eating yokai, she's a yokai of darkness, who eats darkness inherently found in humans and regulates it, and what she will face next will be worse than death. If she was just a regular yokai, things would have not gone this far, and the god is cruel for creating her like this. She needs some time to accept the truth of her situation. Days pass as she's struggling to even grovel, and one day she's nearly at the brink of death. She wonders what she is doing and then starts to hear a familiar voice. It's Reimu, who came looking for her, and this upsets Rumia because she knows what will happen. I can tear the lock. Rumia refused to harm Reimu, and luckily Miko came to find her child who vowed to never enter the forest of yokai alone. And Reimu is sad that Rumia is still missing and is scared that she will never come back. But Miko assures her that she will return because Rumia loves Reimu, and they go back home to wait for her. Yukari is waiting nearby, indicating that Miko knows what's going on and she says she understands. And this implies that something will happen very soon. And at this point of the series, she'll tell it's not going to be pretty. We then get a compilation of Rumia's time with Reimu, and if you didn't feel depressed before this, you will now. Luckily I don't feel anything because Homma's life has fucked me. Who am I kidding? I am fucking devastated. God, I hate being sad. Later in the night, Yukari comes to see Rumia and asks if she has an answer. She assures her that she had tried her best already, but here's an answer she didn't want. Rumia still refuses to eat humans, and this angers Yukari so much that she yells he will die and demands her to follow her instructions. But all Rumia wants to do is go back where Reimu is, and when they could eat and laugh together. But then Miko says her plan won't work, and no matter what she says, that yokai will never agree, and she understands that she needs to take care of her. And here we see her hiding behind a mask again, with her battle uniform.
得意妖怪ルミア。あなたには悪いけど、死んでもらうわ。
Words can't describe the sadness I am feeling. I can't help but feel sorrow towards Rumia, who just wanted happiness in her life, even if it meant to go against her nature. She went through a torturous week of starvation, she nearly attacked the child she cared for the most, and yet despite all of that, she refuses to go back to her old ways. All she ever wanted was to go back to the shrine, to the people she loves. But now, it seems like it's impossible. I must point out that Yukari lashing out is very out of character for her, because she's in the canon work seen as very manipulative, tactical, and very cool-headed. But I will not hold this against the story because I feel it's extremely deserved for her to be like this. Rumia refuses to go along with her plan, and knowing what will happen if she goes past her limits, it's pretty understandable why she will be angry. But then the surprise twist that Miko will be the one putting Rumia out of her misery just hurts very much, because of all of the time they've been together. The final episode is split into 2 parts and things are going to get very ugly in the coming first part, and I hope you all are prepared for what's to come. We start immediately from the ending of the last episode of Miko announcing Rumia's death. She's extremely concerned why she won't say something like that and notices a girl behind Miko. She says the girl is Rumia and if she dies here it will cause problems for her. Rumia is apparently the darkness of the world, and without her, the night will never come and will lead to a collapse of balance. While I could argue that making Rumia this important is not really necessary, I do like that making Rumia a fairly powerful yokai will give a reason to keep her alive and not end her right here and there. Miko says that the girl she is made is to replace her, and she's complete compared to the original one.
この意味、わかるかしら？あなた。もういらないわ。
She then blows Rumia and states Yukari she will kill her alone. She says her abilities of managing boundaries are useless against her because the void cannot be restricted by boundaries, and before leaving, Yukari tries to say something but keeps it to herself and just tell her not to be brave. Rumia then thinks about the times with Miko and starts laughing manically, and she shows off her dark powers while asking if all of her memories were lies.
あれもあれもあれもあれもあれもあれもあれもあれもあれもあれもあれも全部嘘だったの。今までずっと騙してたの。そうよ。
And she did not like that, so the fight begins. Miko keeps striking her with all her might, tossing Rumia against a tree. She claims that she didn't even know the reason she approached her was to make a model, and obsessing over her fake daily life is a pity. As Miko is about to end her, Rumia stabs her arm and this gives her an opportunity to end her. But she hesitates, thinking about her time and her previous life, so this gives Miko time to free herself. And then starts an absolute verbal abuse and smackdown. But it wasn't enough, giving Rumia again a chance to end her, but again she hesitates and strikes at her mask. Miko points it out and causes a big ass explosion before starting her signature move, Hakurei boxing Hiki, and just beats the shit out of Rumia. But it wasn't enough, as Rumia blocked her shots with her darkness, harming her in the process. Rumia then thinks to herself that she could not kill her in the end, and there's no way she will make it. The saddest part of this fight that there isn't really good sides. Miko has to kill Rumia because if she refuses to eat people, she will go on a rampage and lead to collapse of balance if she dies. And Rumia doesn't want to fight because she still adores the fake memories she made with her and Reimu. And because she can't bring herself to kill Miko, all she can now do is cry about the time she felt very genuine, the time when she felt real happiness. Miko is unpaged by this and starts her fantasy nature. What's this? She missed? A very experienced Reimu whose target was a sitting duck and she still missed. I'm starting to have a hunch there's something else going on. But that won't matter because the next shot will end the fight. Even though she missed, Rumia is already defeated both physically and mentally that she can't help but feel so helpless about her situation, being alone again. And as she prepares for her life to end, she hears a familiar voice again.
Lumia, Lumia. 遊ぼう。ルミア大好き。
Now, it's seemingly over. I don't know what I could say other than I am sad. I can't help but miss the happier times, just like the characters do. Miss the funny moments like Miko wearing a silly mask, Rumia crawling into the cardboard box, Reimu and Marisa eating and Yuka just tickling Reimu. I just feel longing for the simpler times just like the characters do. But we got the final part, and if this was talk to go through, then the final one will be the breaking point for me. As the dust settles from Miko's attack, we see that the blood dripping on the ground is hers. It seems like Rumia's inner conscience activated her power to defend herself from the blow and Miko got stabbed by it. And Rumia is shocked by what even happened. Yukari is watching them from her pocket dimension as the replica falls apart, and she is crying from what she is witnessing and asks, "Are you crying too?" Genso and calls Miko a clumsy girl. Rumia is devastated by what just happened when Miko grabs her head and softly starts speaking to her. She points out how hard and lonely her efforts has been and she did well all by herself. She then apologizes for lying to her and says this is the only thing she can do to save her. Rumia can't die yet and she finally found what she was always looking for. Miko then tells she was in the same place as Rumia, looking for happiness. After Rumia's last rampage, she found a child in the rubble and it was Reimu. So Miko isn't her biological but adoptive mother, and with her meeting Reimu, she found what she also wanted.
たちに幸せもらったわ。ありがとう。
And with her words, Rumia starts sobbing uncontrollably as Miko says it's her turn to enjoy happiness and it will be alright because she will take care of her darkness.
もし一つだけ私の袴プラン聞いてくれるならレイムお願いね。
After the battle, Yukari comes to the scene and asks how it feels, and then we see the tiny darkness yokai we all know and love. She then says that it seems like she lost her mind after absorbing so much darkness that it will sustain her for the rest of her life. It's literally a rebirth. But she for a moment thinks about ending Rumia's life, but remembers this isn't what Miko will want. So she just walks away and says nothing can restrict her anymore and live however she wants to. Miko made the ultimate sacrifice. She once was lost too in her life, but with having Reimu and Rumia in her daily life, she found her happiness. But she saw how much Rumia was suffering and knew that to prevent her death and the collapse of balance, she must feed her the ultimate meal, the darkness of Hakurei Miko. She loved Rumia none other and knew this is the only way. She had to bring her to devour her darkness and seal Rumia's powers away so she can live a happier life. To give her a new beginning, literally. As the ending credits scroll, Yukari visits many of the characters we've met, and from what we know from ReiReimu, she wipes their memories about Miko. And then we return back to Hakurei's shrine, showing off a collection of the items we've seen from the series and Reimu sitting alone at the porch. Yukari then appears saying she was wondering where she was.
レイムちゃん、今日は寒いわ。こんなところにいたら風邪ひくわよ。
まだここにいる。
じゃあ私と朝ごはん食べましょう。お腹空いてるでしょ。ん？
いらない。母ちゃん言ってたもん。海や帰ってくるって。レイモのこと大好きだから。だから。母ちゃんも海やも帰ってくるわ。
Yukari then says she has tried her best already and does not need to take this anymore, reminiscing what she said to Rumia as well. And this breaks Reimu's heart and Yukari tells she's the last Hakurei left and is still too young to understand the truth, so she erases her memory about Miko and Rumia with regret. Sometime later we see Reimu playing with Yukari and she's again happy, obvious to the pain that they all went through. But then they hear a bush rattle, revealing it's Rumia who came to visit. And she is surprised to see Reimu, but she in return has no idea who Rumia is. But that doesn't seem to bother her and she jumps on Reimu, mirroring how they met in the first episode. Yukari tells the kid is Rumia and she's surprised to hear her name, and Yukari continues by saying that she's a yokai, but a nice person, and a crybaby, and...
私が愛した人の一番のお友達よ。そうよね。不器用なミコさん。
これはまだハクレレームが幼くて人食い妖怪が大きかった頃のお話。そして 誰にも語られることのなかった巫女のお話。
Holy shit, that was tough to go through. The drama was executed perfectly. The small cute moments were what we needed after such a heavy story. It was incredibly sad when Miko sacrificed herself to grant Rumia her happiness, and heartbreaking when Reimu not only lost her mother, but her closest friend. But even though both of their memories got wiped, they still found a way to meet again. And with ReiReimu, they remain close friends to the present. Despite Reimu losing her memory about them, she still took some aspects from them. Like her mother's stubbornness, Rumia's tendency to hide how she feels, and of course, the armpit. While this was incredibly tough to produce, I am at least happy to finally go back to the moment where my channel changed and do the recap again with confidence and less of the anxiety that I experienced during the original making. Sure, editing this is a huge pain because holy fuck, 18 pages in and I am still talking. So like previously, I want to go over what the main themes of this doujin are. To me, it's pretty obvious. It's about rejecting what the world expects you to be and just being the person you want. And about finding happiness in doing so. Rumia was once a lonesome yokai who just did nothing but eat humans. But after meeting Reimu and Miko, she became far happier and just wanted to spend her days with the Hakurei family. But her darkness prevented it, but with the help of Miko, she was able to break free from her curse and became the person she always wanted to be, literally starting from scratch. Miko hid behind the mask because her duty as a shrine maiden made people and yokai fear and hate her. She distanced herself from the world, but with being a mother to Reimu and meeting Rumia, she was finally able to take out the mask and be free from the fear. But she knew that Rumia won't be able to reach her own happiness and felt she received too much, so she gave her own life to help Rumia reach that happiness. Reimu's again an orphan, but she knew that with Yukaru's help and having a friendship with Rumia, she will turn out alright. But without Reimu, none of this could have happened. While she wasn't the main focus on the final episode, she's the sole reason why Miko and Rumia were able to find their joy. And it was expanded during ReiReimu, she had to again save Rumia like she did so many years ago, while having to learn to accept her own feelings and not hide them like Miko did before her, which was the only way she could not only save Genso, but her closest friend as well. So I want to thank you all for helping me reach 1000 subscribers and getting to the end. I love Osana Reimu and its sequel ReiReimu very much. I don't think I will be able to find any other media that will hit as hard as Joyfull's work has done. I know this all sounds very cheesy, but it's just how I truly feel. I believe Joyfull's fanwork is the best thing that has come out of the franchise. It's a very beautiful story that I can't stop thinking about every once in a while. I've done ReiReimu recap 2 years ago, and while they are slightly dated in some parts, I feel like they are fine as they are. If you want to know what I think about the sequel, I recommend giving them a watch. Just don't comment about the script in the third part. I will send a pipe bomb to your mail if you do. But as we are nearing the end, I want to thank everybody who helped me get this far. I want to thank Oni Bonnie for producing the thumbnail for this video. I want to thank people like Dr. Ratchet, the entirety of the refugee camp in Connor's Trash Town and Bookster, and so many others who have been there for me and helped me during my struggles. I want to thank the entire Touhou and TF2 communities, except Reddit, for helping me reach where I am now, to thank them for making me who I am today. And I want to thank you for deciding to give your time to watch this. It means a lot to me. I might not do as much Touhou stuff as I might have in the early days, but I still want to remind everybody that I love Touhou. It's probably the best thing I've ever had the pleasure to interact with. Except the Reddit. Have I reminded you all enough how much I fucking despise Touhou Reddit? So as we are closing the video, all I just want to say is thank you and have a wonderful day.